Welcome to the Spotlight segment. This is a segment dedicated to interviews with developers or interesting happenings in the world of Android. And now for this week's episode, here's your Spotlight.
All right, let's move on to the Spotlight now, and we're going to be talking about Samsung products that were introduced this week.
So this week, though, it was a big week for Samsung, guys, right? So we got that Galaxy Unpacked Summer 2025 Galaxy Unpacked. And, who else to talk about this? We got the Samsung fans. I know Karen's gradually graduating out of the Samsung camp and moving into, I don't know what camp she's moving into. OnePlus or Honor, rather. That's what she's moving into. But you're always, caught up with what's going on there with Samsung. Karen, you want to tell us what we have? We got several things. I noticed, though, that the ring was not part of the Summer 25 Unpacked for this year. So that's the only one that wasn't there. What else do we have? Also, I don't think there was any tablets. Was there?
Samsung doesn't have ring, but maybe I will have a ring soon, right?
Yeah, so we've been talking about Sally doing some squeezy thing here, guys. So now he's kind of coming out clean and talking about that ring. So while it may not be a Galaxy ring, it may be some other kind of ring, and that's my boy.
Yeah.
So yeah, there was no ring, there was no earbuds, there was no tablets this time around. But what they did introduce were some phones and some watches. Of course, the star of the show was the Z Fold 7. It's come along. This is the biggest redesign in a while, maybe ever, for the Fold. It's much thinner. It's much lighter. It's around the same size, weight, and thickness. It's actually a little lighter than the S25 Ultra. So it's going to feel more like a regular phone than it has in the past when it's closed. And it has the Snapdragon 8 Elite. They added the same main lens from the Ultra, so the 200 megapixel main lens is better than what it used to be. And the bummers are it's now $2,000 and it no longer has S-Pen support like it did in the past. Then they introduced two versions of the Flip, the Flip 7 and the Flip 7 FE. They both now run on Exynos processors, and the Flip 7, that's not the FE, now has an edge-to-edge display on the outside. So the cover display now goes behind the camera lenses rather than having a cutout that went around the camera lenses. And yeah, that did not go up in price. It still starts at $1,100. And the FE starts at $900. Then they announced the Watch 8, which comes in two sizes, and then the Watch Classic, which comes in one size and has a rotating bezel, and then the Watch Ultra 2025, which I don't think is much different than last year's. It might come in a new color, but that's about it.
So the Fold, though not the Flip, the Fold, is that not like $2,500 this year? I don't remember the price. Last year though it was like over $2,000, wasn't it? Wasn't like $2,400 or $2,200? I remember, John.
No, it started at 19, so it has been at 1,800 for a few years. Last year they went up to 1,900. This year they're going up to 2,000.
Okay. Well, so maybe just a little, that's not too much of a price bump, right? So if it was 1,900 last year and it went up by 100 this year. Was it 1999? No, or 1899 last year? I don't remember.
Yeah, it started at 1899. I mean, if you got like the 1 terabyte version, you'd be paying over 2,200. So yeah, but the starting price was 1,900 last year in the US.
Yeah, so it was the one TV that I'm talking about, that I think is 2,500, 2,499. So let's look at the storage arrangements. So we got, it starts at what? It starts at 256, or is there 128? Maybe for the flips, but not the fold, right?
Yeah, the Fold starts at 256, and then you have the 512 and the 1 terabyte. Kareen, do you know if there's a memory difference? I think I might have heard that if you get the 1 terabyte version, it comes with 16 gigabytes memory, but the other two only come with 12. Do you know if that's true?
Well, I don't remember. I just remember that they have a 1 terabyte version. I think it's about $2,400, isn't it? So only this is the thing that I remember.
I don't know the
Yeah,
price.
no, you're correct, John. The 1 terabyte one has 16 gigs of RAM, and that's 24.99, and
Which is kind of I'm a little upset about that. Like any $2,000 phone should have 16 gigabytes of RAM, right? They should not have any version with only 12 gigabytes of RAM this day and age, especially with all this AI stuff that they're bragging about, right?
yeah. So how about the flippers? Do they start at 128 gigs or do they start at 256? I didn't follow that one too well.
They must start at 256. Actually, I don't know. I know they started at 256 last year.
The
So
Flip 7 starts with 256, and the Flip FE starts with 128.
okay, yeah,
Yeah.
that makes
And
sense.
the Flip FE has 128 to 8 gigabytes of RAM.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what was even more shocking than the price increase on the Fold was the fact that the FE costs only $200 less than the Flip 7. I expected it to be like a $600 or $700 phone, not a $900 phone, because it's like,
Exactly. For
if-
me, that's too much for
Yeah.
that. Like, yeah.
I may as well just pay the extra $200 and get,
You know what? Like,
the-
if it was on like 800 or 700, I may consider getting that, but with that price, definitely worthless.
yeah.
In other words, though, I think Samsung was kind of cutting corners to say, we're giving it to you at a cheaper price. And so you ought to be thankful that you can have a flipper and not paying $1,000 or, 900 or whatever the case may be. So kind of trying to reach a balance here. And I see where they're coming from. But frankly, giving the configuration, the memory configuration and RAM and all of that, probably the sweet spot would have been $699. I mean, we always want that $699, $99 nonsense. Just tell me $700 and call it good. So
There would be a better approach for the Flip side. I mean, they could release a Flip for the A series and make it a little cheaper, like not in the 7, like Flip 7, maybe A Flip something, and make it a little cheaper. So it could be like a mid-range device. But in this way, like it's 128 to 8 gigs, and yeah, it doesn't change if you buy the 256. It's still 8. I don't see a reason buying that.
well, you can be saving a couple $100, maybe eat lunch with that, you know what I mean? So they're trying to look out for people who do not want to spend that extra money. Well, while I agree with you guys, but yet in the same breath, someone, spending that extra $200 seems like something that's insurmountable, or whatever the case may be. That's too much going out of my pocket. So maybe if I have $200 less to pay, it convinces someone to buy it. I think that's what Samsung is
But if
thinking.
anyone is listening to this, who's considering that, because you want to save some money, I would consider the Flip 6, because you'll be getting a Snapdragon processor, you'll be getting that same screen, and you'll be getting better memory and storage at the base model. So yeah, see how much you can get last year's Flip 6 for if you're considering the FE. I mean, obviously you won't get as many updates. You'll get one less update, but I'd probably spend my money on that, honestly.
Yeah, but the outer screen though, wouldn't it be better on the Flip 7? I mean
No,
the
they
little
have the
guy, the
same.
FE. Oh, it's the same
They
thing.
have the same screen. Yeah, the new screen is only on the Flip set, the full Flip 7.
Okay. That makes all that difference. So yeah, and most especially if the OS support is kind of like the same X number of years and all of that. How about battery though? The battery kind of remains a little bit the same, except that maybe it's a little bit more than last year, wasn't it? Did anyone pay attention to the battery? I just wasn't following too much
Yeah,
of
the
the
Flip
Samsung
7
guys.
has a larger battery this time around. I think the Fold 7 has the same size battery as last year.
Exactly. The Fold 7 has the same battery of the Fold 6, which is disappointing actually, because we are talking about. I think it's a very bigger screen, right? It's right now. When when it unfolds, it's 8-inch. So we're talking about a bigger screen, and at the same time, we're talking about the same battery, which will have its effect on the overall performance. And 4,000, is it 4,000 or 4,000 something? It's not what you get with other phones. I mean, the phones that are not foldables, like Samsung, the Ultra phone. It gives you much bigger battery or slightly bigger battery. I think it's 5,000. So this will have a real effect for me. Okay, I'm not using folds. I don't like folds. But if I think to get a fold, this will be a deal breaker for me, because having this battery in 2025 isn't something that I want to live with, actually. And they just stated that they were focusing on other things. So like to say it practically, they were focusing on making it slimmer. And okay, they were able to make it slimmer, but at the same time, with the presence of the silicon carbon batteries, it was, I think for me, it would be a better choice if they just decided to include a silicon carbon battery and just make it bigger.
Yeah, because the one Honor just released is actually slimmer, and it has a much bigger battery, doesn't it? Because it uses silicon carbon.
Yeah, so that's interesting, that coming from, Karen, the girl who likes it slimmer and all of that stuff. Yeah, if it was me, I want something heavy, big battery and all of that. But yeah, that was their reasoning for saying that, we're not increasing the battery because we're focusing more on the size and how slim it is and all of that. So there's always a trade-off somewhere here and there. So one decides as to which one is better. Am I better off with a slimmer phone, or am I better off with a phone that has a bigger battery? So for me, though, I always go for the bigger battery, even if it's heavy. Now, that watch, they brought back the Classic this year. I don't know why they took it away last year, but, people like their Classic watches. And, I mean, taking it away last year was a bad move on the part of Samsung. So now we have 3 watches, right, to choose from. I think that's a good approach.
Yeah, this is
on their part.
something Samsung has been doing for a while now. Like the Watch 5 didn't have a Classic. They took it away that year. They brought it back for the 6. So I think they want you to miss it for a year. And I guess they assume people are only upgrading every 2 years anyway. So
I see, John. So
yeah,
if you
absence
miss it,
makes
then
the
you
heart
have
grow
to
fonder, right? They could sell them more if they make you
Yeah.
think you don't have it for a year, and then they bring it back. So
It's a good strategy. So if you're a fan of the Classic and, for example, you are looking forward to it in the 7 and it wasn't there. So now it's here. Definitely you're going to go out and buy it. And then next year, maybe they will
Yeah.
hold it back and not bring it again till the 10 and forces you then to buy the Classic 10. I see that, the strategy.
unfortunately, though, if you are not a fan of what Warren calls the girly watches, then you're not going to like this watch, because This time around, it only comes in the one size, the 46mm size. It doesn't come in two sizes like it did before. So you have to get the large one if you want the rotating bezel. And I don't think I mentioned the pricing. I think it's Watch 8 starts at $350. The Watch 8 Classic starts at $500, and then is $500, and then the Ultra is $650. And then of course, if you want to like add cellular, it'll cost more. Or if you want to get the larger size of the Watch 8, I think it's $30 more to get a larger size, $50 more if you want the cellular version.
Watches are going up in prices, isn't it? So, but if you like it, if one needs it, then you
Yeah.
have to. And if me, who always wants that LTE version, then you have to pay more. I'm not doing any watches this year. Are you getting one, John?
No, I'm not. So they have a decent deal. They offered $200 trade-in for my Watch 7 for the Watch 8. But there's nothing. The only thing, this year's watches, they now have proprietary bands from what I have read. Like you can't just use any watch band anymore. And then they're just shaped weird. Like they're kind of the screen is still a circle. Yeah, the screen is still a circle. The actual display is a circle. But then the watch shape under the display is like a squircle. So it's like rectangular, like an Apple Watch. So it's like if you took an Apple Watch but just put a round screen on it. I think it's odd. Some people like the look of it, but I like my round watch being round.
Me
So,
too.
Yeah, Watch 7, I think, is the best design out of all.
Yeah.
I mean, even like I've seen Apple Watches or the Huawei watches. I think
Yeah.
Watch 7 is doing the best.
And the 8 has,
Yeah.
I believe it has the same processor, same RAM, and same storage. So you're not really getting anything. You might get some new sensors, like they were talking about. Some new thing it does. I don't know. It does something new, right? But as far as the performance, I think it's going to be the same.
How about storage, though? Are we keeping the same configuration from last year, or was there a little bump when it comes to storage?
I think the storage went up on one of the models. What was it, the Ultra or the Classic? Do you guys remember? One of them is up to 64 now.
That's not bad. 64 gigs. That's a huge improvement, because I think that last year 7, top at 32, wasn't it?
Yeah, and it still is 32, but I think one of them went up to 64. I don't remember which. I guess I should have.
Yeah, well, but at least there's that option there for someone who would rather have a big storage or bigger storage, and they have that choice of getting that one with the 64 gigs of storage.